What makes a synthesizer inspiring? Of course, its versatility and sound quality, but also a great user interface and a unique concept. So today I show you why Aparillo is one of the most inspiring synths I played with. Aparillo was made by the same developers of great plugins such as Effectrix, Looperator, Drum Computer and Reid, so we can expect great things here. For starters, this is a dual operator FM synthesizer. That means that we have two oscillators and each one has a modulator. We have controls for the amount of FM and for the ratio. And we can choose between three algorithms. On the first one, the two operators are independent. On the second one, operator 1 modulates operators 2 carrier. And on the third, operator 1 modulates operator 2 entirely. Besides that, we can quantize the ratio in divisions of a Fourier sequence, don't ask me what's that, or make them be based on harmonic series. On the right side, we have options for changing the waveform in formant or shape modes, with an added wave folder. We can also add granular jitter or even apply FM feedback. And mix the operators. So that's the basic stuff to make sound. But I bet you wonder what is the deal with these two dotted lines that come and go, come and go, come and go. Well, those two are LFO1 and LFO2, blue and green respectively. The real power of this synthesizer is how modulation is built on it. First of all, this is a 16 voices FM synthesizer, and currently we are playing the 16 voices at the same time. That's why we cannot play chords. With that in mind, each of these columns represent one of the 16 voices. So LFO1 is assigned individually to each of the voices, and the same for LFO2. So to modulate parameters, you click on one of these icons, and then start choosing the amount. Now this gives us a simple modulation, but as I said, keep in mind that each of these dots is like an LFO assigned to an individual voice. So if we check the options for LFO1, you can see that we have these jitter knobs for the phase and the rate. For example, this will make that the phase of each of the LFOs assigned to each of the 16 voices becomes different. You can visualize that on the middle and also on the fader of the parameters that are assigned to LFO1. So now, based on LFO1, each of the 16 voices will have a different phase of the modulation, which is the same to say that each one is going to have a different FM amount. You can also add jitter to the rate. And this immediately gives us unexpected and interesting textures. Let's make it more interesting by using also LFO2 and modulating other parameters. So that's one of the reasons on why this synthesizer is so inspiring. It has a unique modulation system. Now it doesn't stop there, we have other modulation options such as the mode envelope, or a ring modulation between LFO1 and LFO2. Besides that, under the modulation selector, you have these other options. This will let you select which of the 16 voices is going to be modulated, adding more complexity to the evolving texture. If you choose even, only voice number 2, 4, 6 and so on will be affected by the LFO, and the other voices are going to be static. Honestly, this type of workflow surprised me in a good way, because it lets me make sounds and effects that in other synthesizers will be a lot more difficult. Now, like every other good synthesizer, to add more depth, it has a couple of nice effects, and two of them have parameters that can be modulated, like the multimode filter and the spatializer. Then we have an auto panner, a nice nipple delay, and a really deep and lush reverb, which, if you ask me, is needed to make more cinematic sounds, as sugarbytes advertise the synthesizer. as I mentioned earlier, we are just playing on unison mode. But if we enable polyphony, now we can play up to 16 voices at the same time. Now we can play chords or a series of notes that each time will have a different texture. And honestly, this is one of my favorite modes to play with because it can give you really beautiful sounds. We also have an arpeggiator, but it's not a regular arpeggiator. When you are in unison mode and you enable the arpeggiator at 100%, it will repeat the note over and over again. But on polyphony mode, it will sort of record the notes that you play and will repeat them each time the corresponding line of said voice is highlighted. This is especially good when you don't go 100% with the arpeggiator. If you keep it on the middle, you can have some sort of evolving path on the background with a small sequence of notes repeating that will also have different textures over time. So all of that is amazing already, letting you get so many experimental, usable, beautiful and massive sounds. But there's one last great feature I want to show to you, the orbit. If you have played with Grindad, this is really similar to the harvester. Basically, we have every parameter on the synth. With a right click, you open the options for one of these parameters, and you can start changing the amount. Then if you take this red dot and move it closer to that parameter, it will start changing it more and more. Of course, this lets you create new ways of movement, more complex or rather different than the LFOs, by combining different amounts on different parameters. You can also change the position of each parameter even by dragging an empty space. And finally, to concentrate only on playing, you can record the movement of the red dot with these controls up here. You just have to select the recording mode and the recording time to then press the record button. Once you start moving it, it will start recording. You can also change the speed and set it to be recorded with your keyboard. So you can see that this synth has a lot to offer, and the presets can show you how deep can it go. So, the invitation is that you test it, and if you like it, buy it with my affiliate link. And comment down below what do you think. Remember to give a like to this video, and also check the description for different ways you can support my content. I will see you next time, and bye bye.